Welcome, everyone, to HGI Local Chapter's weekly live stream show. Our show is brought to you by Robert Half, which is a talent solutions firm and leading provider of technology professionals needed to build, deploy, and operate technology in the cloud and digital world. And they do this by placing highly skilled IT professionals either on a contract or a project or even a full-time basis. And basically, their job is to help you keep your businesses going. And you can browse available candidates, you can search for jobs, you can access additional valuable information on hiring and career insights at roberthalf.com/technology. All right, so let's get on with the show. Today, our guest is Vanessa Russell. And if you were listening to our pre-show, she is just like packed. I don't know. Never met somebody more packed than something like what I do. And we'll talk about this. So Vanessa first she's the founding executive director of Love Never Fails. And I know that seems kind of weird for our technology show, but I trust you, it ties in. They are an anti-trafficking organization that has been in place for 10 years. Now remember that number, 10 years. Vanessa has also worked as a senior global sales leader for the last 23 years, leading technology and sales organizations. Now she retired from Cisco Systems in 2019, so 10 years, that's not 10 years. So she's been double dipping, doing a lot of things, where she retired to lead Love Never Fails full time. And now she's also an adjunct professor at Peralta Colleges. And Vanessa and her husband Tim live in the San Francisco Bay Area and are proud parents of 7 children and 4 grandchildren. First of all, welcome to the show, Vanessa. And I don't know how you find the time. I mean, you're running an organization like that, you're teaching, and you have grandchildren. Where do you make all this time?
Yeah, well, I've got a couple kids back here. That's why we got the virtual background going. You know, I got one eating, I got one doing homework. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's definitely a teamwork, wonderful team, and wonderful husband, and so many of you that are watching have really helped to make my minutes into hours, and so I think that's how it all gets done.
So let's start off by, first of all, I know we got a lot to talk about. We said we have a good story to tell, but you know, my interest was piqued when my producer brought this to us. Love Never Fails. I'm thinking, how is this going to fit into a technology show?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the organization, Love Never Fails, and you know how it fits into our show.
Well, so there I was teaching. I was working in the tech world, and a little bit about my background. I come from an impoverished background. I actually experienced foster care as a child, homelessness, abuse, a variety of those types of challenges. And despite that, I was able to land a job and a career, a sustainable career in IT. And I thought it was just going to kind of end there. I decided to start teaching inner city kids like me dance, and that was my giving back. And I thought that's what I was going to be doing. And then in 2010, one of my 15-year-old dance students, unfortunately, was sexually assaulted in Hayward, California, and was sold throughout California for a year. And that was when I became aware of human trafficking, and it broke my heart to know that this was happening right here and, you know, in our everyday lives, right under our noses. And as I became more educated, I knew a little bit better what I was looking at. And I tried to run from it, to be honest with you, Tom, because I was a mom of 2 kids at the time. I wasn't married to my current husband, and I just was, I was like overwhelmed. I was working in tech. I was, you know, just doing a lot. And I thought, you know, I don't have time for this. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a teacher. I'm not a clinician. I'm not a police officer. What do I know about this? And it just kept gnawing at me. And my heart was just continued to be broken for those that are impacted. And so I decided to start Love Never Fails. In the first 5 years, we were volunteers out doing community education, awareness, outreach, going and meeting with trafficked people in everyday streets in the Bay Area. And then about 5 years in, that's when we started to house. We opened up our first house, and we started housing survivors and their children. And now here we are, you know, 10 years later, we have 27 beds, 2 for women and children, 1 for men, and 1 for girls ages 13 to 17. And then out of that birthed our IT Biz Networking Technology Academy. And that's really all about bringing sustainable financial freedom, not just to survivors of human trafficking, but to anybody that's underserved, under-resourced in the community, because we believe that those that are, kind of left to their own devices, traffickers, will prey upon those issues, as well as any other criminal activities that might happen, because when people are desperate, they're easy to take advantage of.
Oh, that's so true. And we are so blessed to have somebody like you, because like you're doing from soup to nuts. You're helping people out of bad situations, no matter what it is, and not only helping them out of a bad situation, but trying to put them in a really good situation, because the technology industry, field can be anything. We talk a lot in here about, it's kind of like the medical field, right? You say I'm a doctor, and you say doctor of what?
Doctor of
technology
That's
of
right.
what? So you mentioned the IT Biz Network Academy. So what is your target, like your students, and where do you hope for them to go?
Yeah, during the pandemic, we were able to enroll about 300 students. Currently, we have 63 students enrolled in our instructor-led class, where we're teaching them about cybersecurity, about tech entrepreneurship, and where they're actually preparing to take their CompTIA A+ tests now. Our hope is to actually get them entry-level positions as either technicians, help desk technicians, if they're interested in the tech pathway, sales SDRs if they're interested in sales, and project management. So we have some of them going through Agile Scrum Master training. So project management is another pathway. And then lastly, customer care. And we've actually developed a relationship with Blue Shield, and we're in conversations with some other healthcare providers about doing some customer care there, as well as HP, a few others. So we're super excited about those 4 pathways. And then we're really big on entrepreneurship. So we like to see like a mix of taking your passions, maybe you know how to cook really good food, blend in your passions with your technical pathway, so that you have this sort of diversity in your income. So when things like the pandemic come, you've got other streams of income coming in, and you're able to make it through.
Yeah, and so all of these students you have, like, they all knew they wanted to do with technology, right? I mean, yeah, they all understood it, right? They had backgrounds in this.
No. Just exactly what you said. It's like, oh, do you want me to be like a science guru or math guru? And I'm like, dude, like, I'm hardly a math science guru. All I am is I'm a translator. I know how to speak tech, and I know how to speak layman, everyday person language. And I'm that bridge person that translates things. And that's found me in project management roles and program manager roles and product developer roles and sales and engineering and the whole gamut. And so I'm grateful that I've had that personal experience, and I've been able to articulate that to the students that we serve, which, by the way, are 56% women, 68% Black and Latino, 100% low to no income. So these individuals are not the usual suspects, right? These are folks that usually say, tech isn't for me. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a science person. I'd never qualify. And so we're trying to say, come on, just give it a shot. Give it a shot.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you're right. There's like, you don't have to have any classes in high school or, college. This is, you can get into this field. Anybody can get into the field if they're really wanting to do it and apply themselves. So let's tell a little bit about your story. Like, you gave us a lot of stuff there, but how did you get into technology? Did you just start right out of like college or high school, or
Yeah. Well, what happened is it's kind of interesting. I really liked school growing up. And as I mentioned, I grew up very impoverished. And I was fortunate enough that my mom actually started to work for, it was Pac Bell at the time, turned into AT&T, SBC, and all the transformation there. And so I saw her enter into a tech program, and they had a program where they would pay for your college if you worked there. So I went to apply for a tech support job at Pac Bell Internet. And this was during the .com rise. And as you know, they were just looking for warm bodies. So they hired me, and I had no idea that I would be good at this at all, because I was planning to be, I was planning to do something like Spanish was like a passion of mine, and some kind of translation, something or other. And then I was into music and the arts and communications. That was my thing in school. And so, and dancing, right? The creative stuff. And so I got into this tech world, and let me tell you, first 3 months, promotion. Next 3 months, promotion. Next thing, after about a year and a half, I found myself as a senior manager. Nice. And I was, fairly young and in my early 20s. And from there, it just continued with that pattern throughout my career. And again, it had a lot to do with the fact that I was really good at explaining technical concepts to people that were not technical. And that has served me well. And then also, I think I love languages and I love cultures. And I have just an inherent affinity for diversity. And so that has helped me to go in and find out, you're into this. Let me help you understand this in words that are culturally relevant. And so my career really took off. And I always like to share with people, my students, that, when I retired from Cisco, I was making $300,000 a year. You're talking about somebody who was in foster care. You're talking about somebody who was homeless, somebody who was eating, government cheese. Okay. If anybody knows what that is, Swanson TV dinners. Okay. So for me to be able to tell them that, it's a very relevant story to tell people, like, man, if you apply, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy, but it is possible if you put one foot in front of the other. And then what my husband always says, because some people say, I'm not really into tech. I'm not really into, it's okay. My husband always says this to me. He said this to me all the while before I retired. He goes, honey, it's the provision for the vision. And my husband's a pastor. So, the pastors have those kind of little taglines. Yes, They're always trying to get you back in to what get you back into the seat at the church. Right. So he said, it's the provision for the vision. I'm like, okay, you got me. You influenced me back into my position. Okay, I got it. But that's really it, is that we are really trying to help people provide for the vision, the purpose over their life. And then, they can take it where they want to take it,
Yeah, and it's something Key said there. I think we like to share with people like your students in particular, and students that are trying to get in or thinking about getting into technology, is don't be afraid. I mean, we all. I've been in this field for several decades, and I still have imposter syndrome. You can ask my wife. I was having a bout of it. I did a presentation today for one of the sister organizations to HDI, and I was up all night worrying about this presentation. It's something I do every day. Like it's on performance management, and I just sweated it. I was nervous. I was just and so just to your students out there, like, it's a real thing, but believe me, you know what you're doing, or you can do it. You can, and I think I like what you said. Like, one of the things you teach your students is entrepreneurship, because technology is involved in everything, and technology can be just a component. Like you said, you're like the top chef, or and if your students out there, look, I mean, this guy here does, I've been leading like desktop support and help desk for many years. I don't know nothing. I knew nothing about doing a podcast or a live stream show. I didn't even know what Twitch was when I started doing this. I'm like, Twitch is something that happens when I'm nervous about public speaking, right?
Yeah.
And so, and we're always looking for people to help us on our show too. So if any of you know these kind of things, I mean, if you got one of these, you probably know more than I did when I started doing this, and it's really, really good opportunity. So believe it or not, Vanessa, we're down to like a minute left on the show or so to go.
I know.
So, before we go, is there, anything you'd like to share with our audience about, Love Never Fails, or tips you want to give to people that are in the situations that people you help?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I just want to encourage those that are listening. One of the things that I'm really passionate about is breaking down the barriers that are, exist with our employers. And, oftentimes we find some of the employers that are hiring tech folks, they go for the traditional background, those that are four-year university and whatnot. And I just want to urge everyone who's listening that is, your traditional employers, is to consider the non-traditional backgrounds. There's a lot of hidden gems there, and there's a certain level of creativity and a certain level of grit that someone who has had that kind of non-traditional background brings to the table that could be very useful, especially in a cybersecurity world, when you're looking at the different ways in which someone might be creatively trying to come in to attack, especially in some of the creative functions where you're trying to think out of the box. I find the students that are in our classes are uniquely positioned to provide creative, out of the box, and certainly protective, that cybersecurity, that protective type of insight into the work that they're doing. So I just want to encourage employers, give consideration to maybe some of those types of candidates. And certainly we have 63 candidates that are graduating here at the beginning of November. And so we'd love to invite you to interview them, to consider them for internships, apprenticeships. They are really working hard and have been with us for 35 weeks. And so we'd love to hear from you. And that's it.
You know what? I'm so with you on that, because, we often talk about like hiring managers, especially for help desk, desktop support, things like that. Like, I can teach you, like you're teaching them the technology piece. I need people that have empathy for customers. Your students, the background they come from, they certainly know empathy, they know passion. Yeah. And I was looking behind me because I have a book called Grit. And when you said that, I was thinking, did you talk to Angela Duckworth? It's like
there,
so
that
funny.
Right on his bookshelf. That's it.
So before we go, tell the employers, the people out there, how they can get in touch with you because it's not just the Bay Area. I mean, this COVID world's taught us we can work from anywhere, a lot of these positions. Right. So how do we get a hold of you to get a hold of your students to fit in our organizations?
Yeah. So if you want to learn more about Love Never Fails, you can go to our website, which is loveneverfailsus.com. And there you can learn about, all our leadership, our philosophy, just our housing programs and our IT Academy, and you name it. We have a bunch of stuff on there that you can learn more about us. If you want to reach out to me, I'm at Vanessa, Vanessa at loveneverfailsus.com. And we can touch base on, employer engagement. We also have a program called READY. It's a racial equity, diversity, and inclusion program. It's a training for employers that are looking to make some of these types of moves. Even if you're not, currently trying to bring someone on, but you want to make your staff, your leaders ready, we are here to help you do that. And so reach out to me again, Vanessa at loveneverfailsus.com. And then just a last plug, which is that we are in the process of doing a campaign to just keep our lights on during this time of COVID. There's been some challenges, and we want to encourage you, if you want to support us in that way, you can go to tinyurl.com/LNF strong. And that is it'll kind of give you an outlay of some of the things we're trying to accomplish.
So Vanessa, I'm going to ask you if you could email me all of that wonderful information. We'll put it in our show notes when we upload to Twitch and to YouTube, because we do YouTube as well. So we can add that into that so people can easily find that information and are watching the show again or for the first time on our restream. So I'd love to do that. So I do want to thank you. There we go. If I want to thank you for being a guest on our show, taking time out of your obviously extremely busy schedule to be on our show, and like to remind our audience and even your students, welcome them to go to hdilocalchapters.org to find out how to become a member of this awesome community and network, so that we can share information like yours, Vanessa, with the world, and make the show grow bigger and stronger. Subscribe to our Twitch and our YouTube channels and share the links with your network so that we can help these students like yours find a very successful IT career. And remember, everybody, to follow us on #HDILocal on all of our social media platforms. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you again next week. Bye, Vanessa.
Bye. Thanks, Tom.